It's time for a heart-to-heart on proxies. I think proxies are actually pretty cool because there are arts and just ways to create magic cards that are fun and exciting. And the elephant in the room is that some cards are just unobtainable. And so what are you going to do except for proxy it? In fact, I think proxies are so cool, I created a proxy vintage cube that if you're interested, let me know because I have an entire vintage cube that is just proxied. And there's I should say there's better ways. Like what's cool about my vintage cube was that it's all unique art, AI art. So maybe it's not unique art, but and it had unique mana symbols and whatever. Anyways, this is this cool product that a lot of people showed a lot of interest in. It's no longer generally available, but you can let me know if you're curious about the Nicholas created proxy vintage cube, because the vintage cube is an incredible experience, but people can only experience it in Magic Online, which is unfortunate. It'd be cool if people could experience it in paper, but obviously with real cards, the full vintage cube has the Power 9 in it. Has a Black Lotus, has the Mox Emerald and Mox Jet and Mox Sapphire, Mox Ruby, Mox Pearl. Is that all of them? And those cards cost thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. And so to make the entire vintage cube is like, $100,000 or something like that. Just crazy. The other thing too is the vintage cube list changes like every few months. So it'd be a pain to like spend a bunch of money and then some cards rotate out and cards rotate in. Anyways, it'd be certainly a labor to love. It'd be cool. I mean, if I had infinite money, I'd do it, but I don't. And so proxying makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of situations where, in my opinion, proxying doesn't make sense. And to understand this, the concept I'm going to lean on is that there are ways to save money in the short run that sometimes don't actually save you money in the long run. And that's kind of the concept that I'm going to lean on, because it is cool that you can buy a Gaia's Cradle as proxy for $1 or $5 or whatever. And then you have a proxy, you have it, you can play test it. And that's the other thing too. I mean, I'll get to that playtesting in a second, because that's actually the real value of proxying. But it's cool that you can get a fake Gaia's Cradle. What if you got a real Gaia's Cradle and it's like, well, I can't afford it. Okay, yeah, then don't buy something you can't afford. That's a great rule. It's also a great SNL skit. It's an old one. Don't buy things you can't afford. 1-page booklet on financial advice, and the advice is just don't buy things you can't afford. Incredible skit. So yeah, don't buy things you can't afford. But if you can afford it, and I guess, I mean, am I about to say something I'll totally regret? Why don't you get a real Gaia's Cradle? Why don't you get like a piece of incredible Magic history that you can play with and, keep a double sleeved or whatever. And guess what? It's going to appreciate. That's the thing that I have found so much joy in my life from buying expensive Magic cards, playing with them, and then selling them and making money. And so it's like, why not get the real thing? I know, can't afford it. I got that. But why not get the real thing, like fetch lands? It's like, oh, I'm just going to proxy my Flooded Strand. Why don't you get a real Flooded Strand? Modern Horizons 3 is essentially out of print. I know it's been out of print, but it's basically like the product's starting to dry up. Fetch lands are going to be the cheapest they're going to be in a long time. So, well, they could reprint them, but I digress. So why don't you buy a Flooded Strand for $20? And guess what? When you're sick of it or whatever, or someday you'll probably be able to sell it for $30 or $40. And maybe not. Maybe you'll sell it for $20, or maybe it just got reprinted when you want to sell it, so you'll sell it for $15 and you lost $5. But is there something valuable to you? And this is a genuine question, because I think for a lot of people the answer is no, and that's okay. But is there something valuable to you playing with real cards? And like I said, if the answer is no, then it's like, right, no problem. But for me, and I think for other people too, it's like the answer is yes. It feels so good. I love playing with Magic cards that are like real. And I've played with Magic cards that are fake because playtesting is a thing, and playtesting is important. I have spent a lot of money on cards that I didn't have fun playing with. And that feels terrible. It feels terrible to spend a bunch of money on a card and then you play it with your table and then you realize, oh, that card was too strong, or, oh, that card works differently than I thought it did. And so I'm a big fan of playtesting. If you're thinking about buying a Gaia's Cradle, don't buy it first. First, you should proxy it. You should play test it. I'm a big fan of proxying. But the second that you know that, oh yeah, this deck does want a Gaia's Cradle, and you have, whatever, what does Gaia's Cradle go for these days? I can't believe I chose that as my example. It's a terrible, terrible example. Gaia's Cradle. Yeah, it's just a $1,900 card. That's fine. You could get a damaged copy for $1,200. Nick, what are you talking about? All right. Fine. What am I talking about? But you could get a Tropical Island for $400. That's crazy. That is crazy. Get a heavily played Tropical Island for $400. Anyway, I digress. What am I talking about? So proxying, playtesting, proxying makes a lot of sense. And that's something that everybody should do, like unequivocally. But when it comes to the people that are like, I'm going to proxy my entire deck and I'm only going to play with proxies, I recommend that if you, one, don't find any satisfaction playing with real cards. If you don't find any satisfaction playing with real cards, why would you play with real cards? There's no point. But two, if you're only interested in playing and you're not interested in selling cards ever, like if you never want to sell your cards ever, then there's no point in getting real cards, because real cards you can resell. I've seen people try to resell proxies on Facebook Marketplace. It's laughable. Nobody wants to buy proxies, which is okay because that's not the point of the proxies. But if you want to have value in the cards, if you want your collection to be worth something such that you can exchange it for value later in your life, don't get proxies. Get the real thing. It is like a phenomenal part of my life that my cards are worth money. It feels great. And the fact that once I'm done with a deck, I can sell it on TCG Player and net the majority of the value feels great. And you don't have that with proxies. If I proxied all my decks, just the game would not be as much fun for me. So like I said, there's a lot of people, I explained the preferences where it makes a lot of sense to just do proxies, but I just want to like put out a kind of warning that proxies aren't just this like pure good that fixes all the problems in the hobby. There's a lot of problems proxies create, right? You get counterfeits and stuff, and it's like, oh, proxies aren't counterfeits. And you're right. But just at the end of the day, this whole ecosystem in Magic relies on the secondary market of buying and selling real cards. And so, if you want to support your local game store, support the ecosystem, or if you want to support Wizards of the Coast. No, I don't want to support Wizards of the Coast. Okay, but they're making your favorite Hobbit set. We got to support Wizards of the Coast at some extent if we want the game to keep going. And that's going to take us buying real cards, right? So anyways, that's the thoughts on proxies. Love to hear yours. I'm afraid that this is the kind of topic that you like lose subscribers over, but I hope that I've explained it in a way that's like fair to all sides. Because like I said, proxies, playtest cards are critical and important. And I need to use proxies and playtest cards more in my life. However, if my decks were all proxies and playtest cards, I think that would take away a lot of the fun and a lot of the value. Because I have received so much money, like just monetary gain from having, collecting, playing with, and spending money on real cards. So that's all. Let me know what you think. I'm curious if this is divisive or if I'm just overhyping it in my head. So anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you. Oh, subscribe.